March 1898, a railway camp on the banks of Kenya's Tsavo River. Workers sleep in canvas tents. Something is stalking them in the dark. A British engineer named Patterson was sent to finish the bridge and stop the killing. He built a platform in a tree and waited. In December, Patterson finally shot both lions. Each one took 8 men to carry. The camp finally slept through the night. Here's the part most people don't expect. After all that death, almost nobody in that camp ate a single bite of lion meat. That's strange because humans eat almost everything. We've farmed cows, pigs, chickens, goats, and ducks for thousands of years. Lions never made the list. Here's the short version. Humans don't avoid lion meat because we're squeamish. We avoid it because the math of nature won't allow it. So what's actually going on? To understand it, you have to follow the energy, starting all the way back at a blade of grass. Picture the sun's energy like a paycheck. The grass earns that paycheck first, turning sunlight into sugar through photosynthesis. A cow eats that grass, but the cow spends most of that energy just staying alive, breathing, walking, keeping warm. Only about 10% of that energy actually turns into cow. It's like getting paid $100 and keeping 10 after bills. Now imagine a lion eating that cow. The lion only keeps 10% of what the cow had left. 10% of 10%. To grow 1 pound of lion, you'd need thousands of pounds of grass first. That's an absurd amount of land and water. Here's the contrast. Raising cows for beef is efficient enough to feed billions of people. Raising lions for meat would feed almost nobody. So could we just farm lions anyway, the way we farm cows? Turns out that idea runs into a second wall. Lions need huge territories, sometimes 100 square miles per pride. Cows are happy standing shoulder to shoulder in a pen. Lions also don't like being handled. A farmer with a fence and a bucket of feed just becomes a farmer with an angry lion. Great advantage for a cow. Pure convenience. Fatal flaw for a lion. Everything about it resists convenience. If you're finding this as strange as I did, hit like and subscribe, because the next reason gets even weirder. So let's say someone actually managed to get a plate of lion meat. Here's the part nobody warns you about: the taste. Predators run, chase, and fight constantly. That builds dense, stringy muscle with almost no marbled fat, the stuff that makes meat taste good. It's the difference between a well-worn hiking boot and a soft leather couch. One of those you can chew through, one you can't. A cow, by comparison, mostly just stands around eating grass all day. That laziness is exactly what makes beef tender. Here's the part that's actually dangerous though, not just unpleasant. It's called bioaccumulation, and it's why eating predators can make you sick. Toxins in the environment, like mercury or pesticide residue, don't disappear. They collect and concentrate in every animal that eats another animal. Think of it like forwarding a chain email. Every time it gets passed along, more junk gets attached, until the last person gets the worst version. A lion sits at the very top of that chain. Every toxin its prey ever ate ends up concentrated in the lion's body. Great advantage for a lion in the wild. Eating anything it can catch. Fatal flaw on your dinner plate. Eating anything it can catch. So even if the taste and the toxins didn't stop you, there's a much bigger wall waiting. There are barely any lions left. Wild lion numbers have crashed by roughly half in just the last few decades, down to around 20,000 animals across all of Africa. Lions are protected under international conservation laws in most countries. Hunting one for food isn't just taboo, it's often flatly illegal. You can't build a food industry around an animal that's disappearing faster than it can reproduce. Now, here's a reason that has nothing to do with biology at all. It's about what a lion represents to us. Across cultures, lions have stood for kings, gods, and guardians. From ancient Egypt's Sphinx to medieval European coats of arms, eating a symbol of royalty feels less like dinner and more like sacrilege, even to people who've never set foot in Africa. Some religious traditions made that feeling into an actual rule. Jewish dietary law and Islamic dietary law both forbid eating clawed predators. Great advantage for a lion's reputation, reverence. Fatal flaw for a lion's chances of ending up on a menu. That same reverence. So does that mean absolutely nobody has ever eaten lion meat? Not quite. There are a few strange exceptions. A tiny legal market for exotic farmed meat exists in a handful of countries, selling lion as a novelty item, not a staple. Throughout history, some hunters who killed a lion in self-defense did try a bite out of curiosity more than out of hunger. Most of those accounts describe the same thing: tough, stringy, and faintly musky, closer to old shoe leather than a good steak. Curiosity got a few people to the table. Biology made sure almost none of them came back for seconds. Which brings us back to that railway camp on the Tsavo River, where 2 lions lay dead and nobody touched the meat. Patterson didn't eat those lions either. He skinned them, and years later, sold their bodies to a museum in Chicago for study. Decades later, scientists pulled DNA from hairs stuck in the lion's teeth and finally figured out exactly what they'd been eating. It turned out one lion had a badly infected tooth, too painful to chase fast prey. Humans were simply easier to catch. Even the most infamous man-eaters in history weren't hunting out of malice. They were following the same rules every predator follows. There's something bigger hiding in all of this. We built an entire food system around energy, safety, and symbolism without even noticing. Every plate of food you've ever eaten was shaped by rules written by trophic levels, toxins, and taboos older than written history. You didn't choose your dinner. Millions of years of energy math chose it for you. And maybe that's why the lion still feels untouchable. It's not just an animal to us, it's a stand-in for power itself. Back in 1898, Patterson thought he was just stopping a pair of killers. He didn't realize he was standing at the edge of a food chain. The lions never made it onto a plate. They made it into a museum, a mystery, and eventually into a story like this one. So next time you sit down to eat, ask yourself, what's actually deciding what's on your plate? Hunger or something much older? Humans didn't skip lions because we're afraid of them. We skipped them because nature quietly did the math first. That's the real reason the king of the savannah never became dinner. Not fear, not cruelty, just the cold logic of energy. If a mystery from 1898 taught us something about food chains, imagine what's still hiding in the rest of the animal kingdom. Every animal on Earth is playing by the same energy rules. Some just end up much closer to your dinner table than others. Maybe that's the real lesson of the Tsavo lions. Power doesn't put you on the menu. Sometimes, power is exactly what keeps you off it. So why don't humans eat lions? Not taste, not fear, but millions of years of energy, biology, and belief all pointing the same way.